An interesting and important event took place in the Eastern Mediterranean the other day, which has received minimal attention in the international media, even though it is actually of great importance. Now, this relates to the deployment by Russia for a temporary period of three intermediate range Tupolev strategic bombers to their base, their air base in Khmim in Syria. Khmim is an aircraft base that was leased to Russia by Syria back in 2015 and which became the major staging post and air base used by the Russian Air Force in its campaign alongside the Syrian military to defeat the various rebel groups that were fighting to overthrow the Syrian government of President Bashar al-Assad. Over time, Khmim has been converted by the Russians into a major strategic base, and the extent to which this has happened has not, I think, been widely reported. First of all, it's perhaps useful to say something about Khmim. It originated as a civilian airport built in the Syrian province of Latakia as part of Syria's attempt before the war to develop tourism in that particular province. As a result, it consists of two large asphalt runways, both initially around 9,000 feet long. The Russians, when they took it over, initially operated only one of those runways, but they have now apparently resurfaced and extended the second runway and have brought it into operation, and they may be intending to do the same with the other. The second runway is now apparently at least 10,000 feet long, and if they do the same to the first runway, then Khmim will be an air base with two very large runways, both 10,000 feet long, making it a bigger base, potentially a much bigger base than the US air base at Incirlik in Turkey, which has only one runway, which is 10,000 feet long. Now, there are some problems with these two runways. The runways in Khmim, reflecting the fact that Khmim was originally a civilian airport, are asphalt runways as opposed to the concrete runways that are more often used for military air bases. The reason that is a problem is that the hot exhausts of military jets can apparently on occasion cause the asphalt to melt, which doesn't generally happen with concrete runways. But the Russians have shown over the last 6 years that they're able to operate from asphalt runways without too many problems, so presumably this is a containable problem. In addition, Khmim obviously doesn't have many of the permanent facilities that you would find in a much more well-established base like the one the United States has at Incirlik. However, it's likely, in fact it's a certainty, that the Russians will be gradually building up those permanent facilities, the barracks, the R&R centres, that sort of thing. So it's highly likely that before very long, Khmim, for which the Russians have now negotiated a 49-year lease, will become not just a fully fledged airbase, but one operating on a bigger scale even than the Incirlik air base that the United States has in Turkey. Not only is this the case, but of course Khmim has become not just an air base, but practically a fortress. It is defended by Russian ground troops, drawn apparently from Russian naval infantry, and it is now encircled by some very advanced surface-to-air batteries, including batteries of S-400 missiles, Buk missiles, Panzer, short-ranged anti-aircraft systems, electronic warfare systems, you name it, they all operate from Khmim to a great extent. In addition, the Russians now regularly base their own AWACS aircraft at Khmim as well, which gives them a good opportunity to monitor all that is happening in the airspace, not just of the Eastern Mediterranean, but not just of Syria, but of the East Mediterranean also. So all of this is beginning to look increasingly like the trappings of a permanent base and of a very large one. Perhaps the most important development is that we have seen the deployment of these Tupolev bombers there. Now, we're told that this was only a temporary deployment and that it is intended to familiarize the pilots of these aircraft with the general conditions there. But that in itself suggests that these very large and very powerful bombers will be based at Khmim on a semi-permanent basis in the future. Obviously, they will not, the base Khmim will not be their permanent base, but they will presumably be rotated there on a regular basis from their regular base in Russia. Now that is important because the Tupolev bombers in question, the Tupolev 22M3, are not only very powerful and very large bombers, but they have very extensive range, and they will from now on be able to operate, apparently, on a regular basis from Khmim right across the entire Eastern Mediterranean and far into southern Europe and the Balkans. This will give the Russians a strategic capability against NATO's southern flank, which they have never at any time had before, even and including during the Cold War. It's going to be a major complication and a major strategic challenge for the United States in the Eastern Mediterranean, making the US position in the East Mediterranean look far more challenged than it has ever been at any time since the end of the Second World War. Certainly, the Russians have never at any point in their history operated a base on this scale in any part of the Mediterranean. And the fact that they're doing so now is an important change. But the airbase at Khmim is only a part of the story because, of course, Russia has historically, ever since the early 1970s, also operated a repair facility at the Syrian port of Tartus, which is apparently also being considerably enlarged and extended. And it seems that the eventual plan is to convert the facility at Tartus into something that will more closely approximate to a naval base. At that point, we will see a very large and very powerful Russian airbase in Khmim operating in close conjunction with a Russian naval base in Tartus. It's increasingly looking as if the Tartus-Khmim complex is intended by Russia not just to be used in order to stabilize the general situation in Syria and to ensure or guarantee the survival of President Assad's government. It is also apparently being used as a major geostrategic asset from which Russia can project power across the entire eastern Mediterranean, all the way up to the Straits of Messina and Italy. Well, all of this, we shall see how it works out and what the United States' response will be. But it seems to me that if it was the case that the United States has been moving its forces and NATO's forces closer to Russia, sending its troops to places like the Baltic states and the rest, and sending its ships on patrol into the Black Sea, the Russians are now starting to make counter moves and are beginning to challenge the United States and NATO in areas and in places like the Eastern Mediterranean, where they have never been challenged on this scale before. What the United States will do remains to be seen, and what the political consequences of this enormous Russian base in Khmim and Tartus is going to be for the general political developments in the Eastern Mediterranean, well, that we will also have to see also. But certainly, as somebody who ultimately originates from that region and still has family and connections there, I, for one, will be following these developments with great interest. Thank you for joining me for this brief video on this interesting and I think important topic. I look forward to you joining me in future programs, both on this channel and on our main channel, The Duran, where I do programs with my colleague and friend Alex Christoforou. Please also remember to check out Alex's channel, and please also check us out on our new platforms, BitChute, Library, Rumble, Odyssey, SuperU, and Locals. And also, please, to the extent that you feel you can, support us via PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar. And also, remember to check out our Discourse server and to go to our shop and buy yourself the great things you will find there: our amazing magic mugs, our t-shirts, our sweatshirts, our hats, our hoodies, and all the rest. Lastly, please don't forget to press the like button if you like this video, and please also check your subscription to this channel. Thank you very much for joining me on this program, and I look forward to you joining me in future programs, and have a wonderful day until then.